Why am I here? Have you ever asked the question, why am I here? It is one of the most foundational questions that a human being can ask. If you don't know why you exist, you can't know your purpose. And to have no purpose is to drift toward despair. Many try to say today that human beings have no purpose. We are simply a cosmic accident that has no direction or goal. But most of us feel intuitively this cannot be the case, that life must have some basic meaning to it. You will not be surprised to discover that the Bible has an answer to this question. It tells us why human beings exist and why you specifically exist. To understand the answer, we must realize that the Bible is telling a story. Even though the Bible is made up of 66 different books, when you put it all together, it tells one overarching story. Because that is true, in order to answer the question of why I am here, we have to go to the beginning of the story to see why it is that God made us. The first book of the Bible is the book of Genesis. It is in Genesis that we learn why God first created us. Genesis chapter 1 tells how God fashioned the world in 6 days and how He made everything in the universe that we can now observe. But the most important thing that God created were human beings. How do we know that? First, we know that because human beings are the last thing that God created. They are the crowning achievement of creation. But we also know it because it is only about human beings that it is said we are made in God's image. God had 2 commandments for the first human beings that gives us a clue to our purpose. In Genesis chapter 1 and verse 28, God tells human beings to be fruitful and multiply and to rule over the earth and subdue it. Even though God originally created just 2 people, Adam and Eve, His intention was that the whole world would be filled with His image bearers. And as the earth was filled, human beings were to expand their rule throughout the creation. And they were not to do this alone. They were doing it in partnership with God. That brings us to the third reason God created human beings. He created us because He wanted to share Himself with us. When God created Adam, Genesis 2:8 tells us that He placed him in the Garden of Eden, which was a special place where God lived in relationship with humans. It was there that He fashioned Eve as a partner and helper for Adam. God did not need to create us. He was not lonely, but He created us out of love because He wanted to share His goodness with others who could love Him in return. 1 John 4:8 tells us that God is love, and that means that all of His purposes are motivated by love. When you put all of this together, we get an answer to the question, why am I here? You are here to live in relationship with God and to partner with Him in subduing the earth. These are good purposes. But if these purposes are so good, why does the world feel so broken? The next part of the story will tell us, and it has everything to do with our free will. I am Curtis Baker for Know Your Bible. To learn more about the Bible or to get your questions answered, visit us at knowyourbible.com.